In short, I stumbled across a very strong correlation between the number of times "how to get Bitcoin" was searched on Google and the price of Bitcoin 2 weeks later. You can see how many people are searching a specific query by going on Google Trends. It gives you a pretty graph and is generally up to date. As far as how I discovered this in 2016 or 2017, I was browsing the internet and found that on reddit.com/r/Bitcoin, whenever there was a new positive sentiment, the price of Bitcoin went up. There was a natural headwind that made the price go down if nothing new was posted. To a large extent, all publicity is good publicity, as they say, and I had the privilege to see this in data. I eventually found this elegant way of measuring the sentiment with Google Trends, but at the time in 2017 I was manually cataloging sentiment by hand. I won't get into that since it's something of a fool's errand, but I will say how my older, wiser self goes about these things. First, if you compare the Google Trends graph of the search term Bitcoin with the price graph, you will see that they are well correlated, around 65% correlation, and roughly in time with each other. You could get an even better correlation, around 78%, if you take the running total of the trends data instead of the raw trends data itself. This model describes what would happen if everyone bought Bitcoin at their first chance and never sold. Better yet, you can use an exponential decay model instead. This one describes people choosing at random whether to sell all of their Bitcoin on any given month. I found that 73% was a good monthly factor after playing around with different values. This modification increases the correlation between model and true price data by only a little bit, but it greatly improves the overall model fit. Note, I also used "how to get Bitcoin" as a search term, which in the end had a slightly lower correlation but a slightly lower average error. Both are good search terms. Another, much more minor improvement was to model how the average Bitcoin user owns more Bitcoin as time goes on. Or at least that appears to be the case. This was also exponential, but exponential growth instead of exponential decay, and at a different rate. For the search term Bitcoin, I used the factor 141/10 millionths times the square of the number of days since May 1st, 2011, which I multiplied into the model. For the search term "how to get Bitcoin," it measures new users instead of active users, so I used the more dramatic adjustment factor of 225/10 trillionths times the number of days since May 1st, 2011, raised to the more extreme power of 3 7/10. Without any further adjustment, the correlation to the data for either one was over 90%, and the average error was under 25% for both as well. It is possible to obtain a lower error model by taking into account past pricing data. For certain applications, this is not necessarily desirable, but for predict the next price type applications, it's certainly helpful. The simplest method I could think of was to adjust the model up or down by the error of the last month. This corrects for drift as the model strays more and more from true price data as it's swayed by unmeasured causes. For the "how to get Bitcoin" search term, this final adjustment gives a model roughly 97% correlation to true price data and an average error of roughly 15% for continuous prediction and 92% and 21% respectively for predictions for 1 month out. I tried the model on smaller timescales, and it works there as well. Taking the error from a more recent time period instead of from one month back to adjust for drift improves the prediction. So I would recommend using the most recent data you have to improve performance. One bizarre thing I discovered is that causation is not what I assumed. I thought people would search "how to get Bitcoin" and then the price would increase due to increased demand, which it does, but Also, an increase in price leads people to search how to get Bitcoin. At least, that is what appears to be the case after measuring correlation between price and trends data at different offsets. The spreadsheet used in the video is linked below.